right, welcome to another Deal Structure Sunday with the master, Brian O'Neill from Chicago. Welcome back, buddy.
Hey, Chris, thanks for having me and appreciate being known as the master.
Well, for now, I know the last one we did, and these guys probably saw it. You nailed down some really cool numbers. Let's jump into this one. Let's just dive in. What's the type of deal here?
This is actually interesting because it wasn't ever on the market. So this particular seller, I had another property with them that we came to an agreement on a sandwich lease, and they called me because they wanted to move out of this particular property because they wanted more space. They had some dogs and they wanted to move to a bigger yard. So off market, previous relationship already.
Okay, curious. The other deal you did with them was what?
The other deal, you talking about the address?
No, just what type of deal was it? The other one before they referred this one.
Yeah, the other one was actually my third house, and that was a 60-month sandwich lease.
Interesting. Okay, so this is kind of the off market and the so okay. What you structure here? Sandwich, you said?
Yeah, we just went with the same structure as the last time, so it was a 60 months sandwich lease.
Isn't that funny? You already set the expectation in their mind, so you probably didn't even have a discussion on going 60 months.
No, I mean, the only interesting pivot was we had discussed the possibility of doing an AO because that was an option on the first deal.
Yeah.
And I had to pivot around that, but otherwise this was kind of a slam dunk in terms of the term itself.
Well, okay, so I was trying to bring this up, and we'll maybe talk about it in the deal structure overtime. For those of you that may be new to this, we're going to fire up the overtime here for some more nuances. But it's interesting. You said you had to pivot away from that. I'm assuming you mean on deal 1, 2, or 3, you're like, oh, I might do an AO. By the time you do deal 10 or 11, you go, yeah, I don't want to do AOs if I can help it, right? Am I right?
I don't even talk about them anymore. So
Yeah.
yes, you're 100%
Okay.
right.
All right, let's do the numbers. So just to recap, we can't assume that people have been around seeing all of these deal structures. So in a sandwich, we might talk about the price, but it's only to calculate how much debt there is and how much equity. Then that's the quote unquote price. But we don't go on price, and you're going to see why here in a minute. What was the underlying debt, Brian?
The underlying debt, which is important to know too, we talked about in the overtime, was 210,000, but it was just refinanced last month, and that's why they could not put it on the MLS because they had just refinanced the loan.
Brand new. Okay, so in the overtime, we'll talk a little bit about that. So you guys are going to want to catch that, and how much equity on top of that.
105,000 is what we agreed upon.
105. So if they put it on, you're telling me if they put it on for 315, it would likely be plus a realtor's commission, likely be too high out there in the market.
Yeah, correct. Exactly. If they even could put it, they couldn't put it on, but yeah, that's what.
Oh yeah, they couldn't because all right, we're gonna save that little tidbit then. That's right. All right, you turned around and did what? You sold it for how much? In I'm assuming rent to own.
It was rent to own. The sale price was 349.9.
Okay, awesome. I'd like to know, just as a teaser, we'll do the rest on overtime. This was a referral, so it's simple. You got it on the contract. How quick did the buyer come?
The buyer actually initially showed up, went away for some, they decided to back out and then came back a couple of weeks later. So I would say that was inside of about maybe 4 to 5 weeks.
Okay, that's what I thought. Payday 1, upfront and overtime.
Okay, initial signing was right at 3%, so 10,500 plus the first month rent, which is 2,539.
2,539.
2,539, and then we actually structured. They were selling their house, their primary residence. One of the reasons they went away the first time, that's already gone through. So they are paying an additional $14,000 on or before June 15th. So very, very right around the corner.
Oh, that's right. Okay, now I'm remembering what deal this was. So from the time of first signing to June 15th was how long? Like a month?
Not even, not
Yeah.
even. Yeah, just maybe 3 weeks.
Okay. So total there is how much? So I don't mess it up. 26, and change?
24,500 just in the down, and then the 2539 is additional.
Right. So what's that total?
So that's
Try to make my life easy here.
27,039.
All right. So again, just for the new viewers, this is a very, very important technique. So here's the 14 and the 10.5 was the deposit Brian negotiated inside of a 30-day window. But what's super important to know is that 2539 is the technique we've been using for years. And if you don't do it, you're leaving money on the table, because we're taking the first month. But Brian, did you negotiate with the seller that starts 30 days later?
100%. It's in the, number one, it's in the agreement.
Yep.
And number two, we had a similar conversation with the first house. So
It was already set up.
it was already there. They knew, they
Love
understood.
it. All right, so we're at 27 and change. Let's go to payday number 2. We already know what they're paying you. What is the outgo for the monthly mortgage? It's fairly new.
Yeah, total payment, including everything, there's an HOA as well, is 1,989.
Okay, so you built the HOA in. You and I know that taxes and HOA, if they were separate, would be from the buyer, but that's all built in and you have a nice spread there.
Correct. I mean, just a small nuance. I marketed this with the the HOA included in the base lease, and then I just added the taxes in, so it didn't look, it wasn't too out of whack adding, $900 versus from the base lease payment.
Okay, so for the new person, they probably just thought you spoke Greek. So in the deal overtime, we're going to address that. What's the monthly spread?
550.
550. And then you did how much of a term with the buyer? I'm curious on this, and we'll go into it in the overtime.
I did a 24-month term with the buyer.
Do you anticipate that happening, or did you do that for kind of leverage because you have 60 months?
I do anticipate that occurring, but again, we have a 60-month term.
So no reason to push them.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Okay, so what's that figure? Is that how you did this deal structure based on 24?
I based it on 60.
Okay, let's do this. Let me address that then. I asked that so I could know which way I'm going to go with this. So very important for the viewers to know a couple things here. We're going to talk about a next level technique in the overtime, but for just right now, Brian had a 60 month, has a 60 month. So he could have literally given them all the way up to 50 and still given himself a buffer. But this is really cool because at 24 months, he can come back to them. He can raise the price. He can change the month. He can do anything he wants if they need an extension, or he can be nice and leave it alone if the relationship's, perfect and he doesn't want to ruffle feathers. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the overtime. Brian, if you project this out times 60 though, what's payday 2?
33,000.
33,000. Okay. So all these things I said we're going to talk about, I hope you wrote them down. All right. Payday 3. You mark the price up. We can see from up here. How much?
34,900.
34.9. But you got 25.5, 24.5, right?
24.5.
And again, for the viewers, that's just taking the deposits from up above here. Okay, not the lease amount, because they paid that as a lease. That went into Brian's pocket.
Right.
All right, principal pay down on the underlying loan. I'm curious because it was a new loan, but rates are good.
New loan, so 325 per month is
not bad.
Pay down, not bad.
Okay, what's that?
That comes to, for 60 months, 19,500.
Okay, so what's that payout at payday 3?
Yeah, less the payday 1 deposit, that's going to come to 29,900 at cash out.
29.9 at cash out. So we've got, where are we? 27, 33, and 29 is how much for the total here?
89,939.
89,939. Not too shabby. Do you have your running average? I don't know if I asked that last time. I know it's been going up, and that should happen over time as you get better. What is your running average now? Do you know?
I do. It's just a bit over 76,000 for all three.
Okay, so you just pulled it up some more. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Just pulled it up some. Yep.
I love it. I love it. Get that average over 90. That's looking good. That was sweet, Brian. I know you have nuances, and I know you remembered everything I just said for bullet points that we had to talk about. So for those watching, you want to go ahead over to smartrealestatecoachacademy.com and fire up this episode of the deal structure overtime, because there's pretty cool nuances and lessons built into this one.